We have I mean, it's the clues in the question that we're going to have to make our questions harder. Let's see a picture of the Spicamelus. There he is. He's known as Spicamelus because he had lots of spikes. Right. Well, actually, that's quite ferocious. I don't like the look of that one bit. Welcome back to the show with Annabelle and Daryl. How about this? We're joined by mechanic Ant Anstead. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. Good morning.
So good to meet you. You've been on before, but it wasn't me doing it. I think it was Vanessa.
No, it was a great experience as well.
Yeah, well, hang on.
They're going to be measured against Vanessa.
So Andy's here because he's got a second series of Born Mechanic. Now, this is an absolutely brilliant concept for a TV show. Have a look.
I'm Ant Anstead. I've been fixing cars since I was a teenager. And I've set myself the task of restoring and selling 8 crumbling old cars for profit. Everything I make is going towards this 500-year-old farmhouse. She goes today, which means big hammer, that I bought for my mum and dad to retire in.
All right, we're complete. Immediately we've grasped it.
Yes, you're in.
So, no spoilers, but are you getting closer to purchasing and doing up the house?
Well, I bought the house a couple of years ago for my parents, and so it's an interesting backstory because my mum and dad worked in boarding schools when I was a kid. So my dad was in catering, so my friends would remind me, "Your dad's the dinner lady." So we never owned a home. My entire childhood was living in school accommodation. So when my parents came up to retirement age a couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to buy them a home as a way to give back and say thank you. So I walked around a number of houses, ignored the obvious ones that made sense, and I bought this 500-year-old crumbling post-medieval wreck, which made no sense at all. But on the farm, there was a barn, and one thing I can do is fix cars, flip them, and hopefully make some profit. So I quickly turned that barn into a workshop and started finding classic cars, fixing them, selling them, and hopefully making a bit of profit, because then I've got a chance at this falling down farm.
Your parents feature in the series, and we can have a look at them seeing the house.
Getting them moved in is my big aim. But before I can tackle the inside of the house, I needed to fix the outside. And the progress has been huge. I can't wait to show my parents how it's looking.
That is amazing.
So do you like the beamed look?
I think it's wonderful, actually. It's not what I was expecting, but that looks like it should have been in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the beams were exposed.
It looks amazing.
What a wonderful thing. Now, the classic cars. So I think it's all of our dream to own one of those lovely cars, but we know that if we own it, it will break down within the first week. But you lift a bonnet of a car and you see a story in there, do you?
Yeah, you see, I've been restoring classic cars my whole life. It's something that I'm incredibly privileged to be doing on TV. I think it's fascinating that people actually want to watch what I do as a hobby and as a job. And every classic car is different. And what's really cool about this season is that there's 8 cars, 8 episodes, and we fix and flip a car every episode. And our oldest cars are 1929 Austin 7. And our newest cars are 90s BMW E30. So, and we even cover...
What's that there? Is that
that's a car from season 1. That's actually a Triumph.
I said Triumph. Did anyone hear me?
Oh, right, yeah. The pub quiz.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you got the Triumph right.
But can you just take the whole engine out and put a brand new engine in, or is that cheating?
You can, and actually it's funny because one of the cars I bought in season 2, a Morris Minor Traveller, that's the estate version with the wood in it.
The wooden doors.
I bought without an engine. So it is commonplace to do an engine swap. If the car has really good provenance, if it's an old classic and the engine is important, you want to try and keep the original engine because it maintains the value. But we do have an engine issue in this series.
Oh, really? Yeah. So what's the classic thing? Because I had my rear end went once.
This is not the show for that, Joe.
I was amazed at the effect that caused oil. I was like being in the Red Devils. The oil burned out of the back of my car. It's going back 20, 30 years.
Oh, your main end, the bearing.
Yeah. And it was like every time I went to 60, it would just envelop all 10 cars behind me in thick black smoke. It was brilliant, actually.
Yeah, there's probably it's like a James Bond getaway.
It was.
It's a James Bond getaway.
That's just struck me as I wouldn't know where to start with that.
Well, a lot of people ask me, building cars seems very difficult, but actually, if it's something that you start to understand, car processes are quite simple, actually. You break it down into mini, the braking system, fueling system, cooling system.
Yeah.
And it's something that just came naturally to me as a kid.
Great.
So
And I hear sometimes people I know who are mechanics say the problem now is everything's sealed shut, it's all computers. It's not the old-fashioned thing where you can look at it and understand it.
Oh gosh, we're going to go down a rabbit hole now, because that's one of my criticisms of young people today. You know, there's such a skill shortage. People don't know how to change a tyre or change their
plug?
oil.
They don't know what's in a plug?
Yeah, and cars are definitely getting more involved. You know, they're more computer-based. Yeah, it's a sad time.
I wouldn't know what to do. If something went wrong with my car...
Well, this is shameful.
No, I mean,
I wouldn't know
You
what
must
to do.
know how to change
I'd have to just call you.
You could,
change
if
a
you had a
tyre,
puncture, though, you could change the wheel.
Genuinely couldn't change a puncture.
There's no way I could change a puncture.
he's the one. Daryl's recently got married. His wife would change the wheel, and he'd be standing with the umbrella.
Exactly, that's right.
I'm sorry,
that is
but
so
I'm not
true.
far off. I cycle everywhere. I think if I got a flat tyre, I'd take my bike to a shop. I must ask you, you're a British guy, but you live in America.
Yes.
So you're in Trump land.
Oh, no. I'm in California.
OK, I'm trying to work out which way to go. Do we want to ask about Trump, or do we want to ask about Ant's partner, who is Renée Zellweger?
Uh-oh.
Let's have a student
There
vote.
was an intake of breath there.
How is Renée?
She's wonderful. Yes, she's
Yeah.
very, very well, thank you.
Because the funny thing here is she
gosh.
obviously plays Bridget Jones, who's a British character, but is American. In a way, I suppose you're being a bit American as a Brit, aren't you? Because you're over there.
Yeah, I mean, I moved to America 8 years ago. I live in California. I really love it. I like I live in Laguna Beach community. It's an amazing part of the world.
Don't get
And,
any exposed wooden beams there, though.
Do you know what? That's really interesting. One of the things I really loved about doing this house, because it's old, you know, it's post-medieval, it smells old, you know, and it's back to this time when, you know, craftsmen were making it with primitive tools, and there was no social media, nobody's documenting anything, they were just building homes. And, you know, Laguna Beach, I think the oldest home is about 110 years old. I think my front door is a couple of hundred years older. The house is older than California. So it's, yeah,
But
it's
there
amazing.
are upsides. We know America's a great country. Are you struggling under Trump?
Gosh.
You don't have to answer that. I know it's
No,
political.
I mean, I choose to live in America, and I feel very, very at home in California. I've created a really beautiful community for myself. I raise an American child, and, you know, it's a strange place to be politically right now. I think everybody would acknowledge that. But there's still, you know, I still gravitate and still feel pulled to California. And every time I come back to the UK, I still am excited to go back home, which for me is California.
Wow,
And
okay.
I'm surprised I'm saying that, because I'm incredibly proud at being British.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for joining us. Stay with us, Ant, if you don't mind. You can watch the second season of Anstead Born Mechanic on Quest on the 16th of September, made, by the way, by ITM Productions. Stay with us now while we take a look at today's paper. The Eye has free chickenpox vaccination on the NHS for 500,000 children a year. I just thought chickenpox kind of vaccinated itself, Annabelle. I don't get this. You get it once and that's it.
Well, there'll be the end to chickenpox parties, won't it? And it feels to me a bit like a rite of passage. And not to be too flippant, but very few people die of chickenpox every year. And the overwhelming majority, more than 80%, are adults. So it's typically those who haven't had chickenpox as a child, or those perhaps who get shingles, which is a related
That's nasty.
illness, which is very, very
Yeah.
nasty, particularly if you're immunocompromised or elderly, for instance. So it can be dangerous, but nevertheless, I do question whether this ought to be an NHS priority given all the pressure that it's under. And actually, to me, the bigger vaccination story is the one that came out yesterday, which is the fact that we are missing our uptake targets across a range of childhood
Well, Ant has got
immunisations.
this. That's in The Guardian, Ant, and this is the warning over low uptake of vaccines for children, which I think is sort of mirrored in the States, actually, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading The Guardian this morning, and, you know, there's obviously a concern, because, and you know, I'm concerned. I'm a parent. My son in America's 5 years old, and, you know, he's banging the demographic for this story, and for some reason, young people are not being vaccinated, or at least the targets aren't being hit. And, you know,
I think it's. Am I scared of smallpox? No. Why not? I've never seen it. Were we scared of smallpox 50 years ago? You bet. You cannot believe how vile a death and disease that is. We killed it with vaccines, and now we're starting to relax. And we're doing the same with polio, measles, mumps, rubella, all of them. We've basically almost extinguished them, and that we didn't realise that we would then stop being afraid of them.
That's interesting, yeah, a bit of complacency maybe. And then if you couple that with a sort of fracturing of trust in authority in, and all that sort of stuff, this kind of like post-pandemic trend that we're experiencing. It's really worrying. There was a place in Liverpool, I think, that had about 75% uptake. I mean, you need 95, 98 ideally in order to achieve herd immunity. So 75% is going to be deadly for some people.
But I'm following this stuff in the States with interest. Back to Trump. He's got RFK on the health policies. RFK, Bobby Kennedy's son, is very vaccine sceptical, and he's trying to fire the CDC people now, who the Centers of Disease Control, partly because of, he said, the lies that were told during COVID. And the scientists are thinking, well, hang on, help us out there. So, yeah, it's
definitely a COVID hangover, though, isn't there? Let's be honest.
What people say.
It feels like that. It feels
in
like,
what sense?
Well, it feels like there was a massive public loss of trust. And, I'm not surprised that less people are taking vaccines.
But without the vaccine, we would still be in that blooming thing, wouldn't we? I mean, or we would have just got to herd immunity with lots more people dying.
There was mixed messaging from the UK government over the efficacy of the vaccine, over what it would do, the impact it would have on transmission, for instance. I also think, of course, that people were told that children didn't require it. And I wonder whether that's lodged in people's minds that children don't need to have vaccinations. So when they're then told, when they have newborns, that they need to be set on this vaccination programme, perhaps they're a little bit more resistant
But
to
everyone's
it.
an expert now. When I was at school, we literally were lined up and jabbed in a row. I don't even know what they were jabbing us with. BCG.
I remember it. Have you got the scar?
Yes, that was that thing. Everyone had the BCG scar.
We've got the scar.
And now,
branded.
in a class of 20, there'd be 2 or 3 pupils who'd say, sorry, my parents have asked me not to... but we never would have had that back in the day. OK, Alexis will be taking your calls on vaccines a little later. He'll be asking if it's irresponsible not to vaccinate your children. 0207 862 2222. Daryl's got a story in the Telegraph about the cost of fare dodgers, which is 190 million a year.
Yeah, and this is one of my real pet peeves. I live in the north of England, so don't see this that often. But when I'm in London, if you've been on the tube recently, you will notice that there has been, I think, a real marked increase in the number of people who sort of skip in behind you, don't they? You won't know, obviously, because you travel by bike, right?
But I was on the tubes
chauffeur.
yesterday in London.
Yes, private.
No,
Private chauffeur.
Couldn't possibly use the tube.
I haven't. I've had it twice in my life of someone barging in behind me. I think they look at me and they think this guy can obviously handle himself.
Yeah.
And they don't try it on. Yes, go on.
But it's literally...
It's amazing.
It's literally costly. And I was
amazing.
I was having a conversation with somebody about this a while back, and they were like, you don't know if that person's going to a doctor's appointment and they can't afford the fare and all that sort of stuff. And I have a real issue I have a real issue with this because actually a lot of this transport is subsidised, right? And so we all sort of pay in for it. It is there for the public good, and it's a very, very, very small contribution, particularly on the tube, that you make. I don't think there's any excuse for it, and I think it's one of those sort of fracturings of the social contracts, right?
But I think a big problem is the sense of impunity associated with it. So it isn't just fare dodging, but it's shoplifting as well. And this idea that you can commit what really is a reasonably serious crime, it's theft, and nobody is going to do anything about it. I saw somebody fare dodging last week, and there wasn't a single person on the concourse at the station to confront them about it.
Would you confront someone? I bet you would.
I'm an ex-police officer. I would feel compelled to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but isn't it you put yourself at risk? That's the problem.
I had a thing. I came out of
yeah.
the tube. My ticket didn't work. This is back in the day when you had to preload your ticket. And I needed to pay £1.10. The guy said, "Oh, just go to the window and pay." I said, "Well, I've been an honest and loyal customer for now 40 years. Can you not let me off the £1.10? He said, "No, that's not how it works." So, and as he showed me to the window, a guy vaulted over the barrier behind me, like sort of something out of the Olympics. So I said, "Well, are you going after him?" He said, "Oh, no, I can't go after him. He might stab me." So I said, "Oh, I see. Because I won't stab you, I've got to pay. That's the logic here." This guy does a massive vault, strolls off into Sloane Square. Anyway, you might remember this. Sorry, I know you're thinking this programme's crazy. I can see how to say, well, what's going on?
I'm also thinking, the point of stopping an offender. I live in America. Stopping an offender is definitely a cautious thing to do in the
Would you
States.
carry a gun?
I was firearms. I was an armed police officer.
Yeah.
I'm relatively anti-firearm, actually.
Well, they go off, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And of course, we're still looking at that awful story from Minnesota, which is just heartbreaking, where the guy shot the kids. I'll show you this video from a shadow cabinet minister about fare dodging.
Excuse me, do you think it's all right not to pay? Seriously, why do you go back through the barrier and pay? Do you want to go back and pay like everybody else? Do you think it's all right not to pay? Why don't you go back and pay? You can say as much as you want, but everyone else has to pay. You're carrying a knife, you say? Nearly 1 in 25 people using London's public transport aren't paying for it. So there's 8 officers.
Kemi Badenoch, Tory leader, is in a lot of bother. He's definitely the next Tory leader. I don't know whether he'll be Prime Minister. But
this guy's a legend.
Well,
I want to hang out with that dude. I just want to stroll around the London Underground with that guy. That's entertaining.
You know who that is? Robert Jemmering. Yeah. So he's
no.
He's not. He's punching through with socials in a way that nobody else is. It's quite interesting. Annabelle in the Express. A whole lot of a difference in bearded Boris. Tell us.
These are images of former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He's on his family summer holiday.
Is that him?
And
that doesn't look like him at all.
well, he's lost a considerable amount of weight, judging by that photograph. He's got a beard. His hair is even blonder than ever, and it's divided opinion. Some people think that he looks rather good, and
looks like
others find the beard off-putting.
He looks like somebody else.
This shouldn't be a news story about Boris's beard. It should be a news story about those trunks. That's an unforgivable set of trunks.
Well, I can't... Oh, hang on a minute. Let me see those the trunks.
Yeah, they kind of match your shirt, Jeremy. If there was a clash of the trunks in your shirt, it would be pretty epic.
Suddenly I'm in favour of
front
the trunks.
Well, buried in the back.
What they say about it, all populists, Boris is one, Nigel Farage is one, they operate with such sort of magnetism. Trump is one, that you don't really ask them close questions. It's a problem for journalists, Annabelle, isn't it?
Not asking Boris Johnson.
Well, just they get away with a lot. He's wearing a set of trunks. He's got a funny beard. You don't ask him about anything serious. You think this, don't you?
Well, I do think this. Yeah, absolutely. And I think he knows that as well, right? I mean, he said.
Well,
himself,
look at Trump.
And Trump does the same thing. Yeah, you just sow chaos. I mean, he said there was a brilliant quote from him saying, if the more chaotic you are, nobody really knows whether you're serious or not. Yeah. Nobody really knows whether to actually hold you to account for. Nobody knows what you're going to do next. I think it's a terrible way to behave. By the way, it just looks like Boris Johnson with a beard. I don't know why this weird obsession with this guy.
Well, we're all talking about it. I feel bad. No, should we be talking about this? You can make a call on this. Should the programme be discussing Boris Johnson's beard?
Absolutely. This is at the heart of interesting news. Without this, the show would be absolutely...
But, how long has it been since Boris Johnson was Prime Minister, and yet still we've got images of him on a family holiday?
Well, he did. I'll tell you why it's important.
It's a bit of a
this is my serious point. He said, like Cincinnatus, I return to my plough, and I then return at some future point to the job. So he definitely projected forwards to the moment the Tory party calls him back, which is why we just don't like to keep tabs on him. Yeah.
So they're keeping him in the paper?
Him or Jenrick, yeah. Thanks so much, Ant, for coming in. That was brilliant. You can watch the second season of Anstead Born Mechanic on Quest on the 16th of September. We'll have more after the break when Alexis will be joining us, and we'll discuss the Welsh village that is changing its name because somebody thought the name was too rude. We'll see you very soon. Well, unusual feature was spotted in a 3-bed house on sale in Worcester. Was it the slanted floor in the kitchen, the toilet in the living room, or a slide to get downstairs? Answer in just a moment.